All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Live Stream of Consciousness, rocking with you here on a Monday. Just coming back from vacation. I got alcohol face, drinking Mai Tais. Mai Tais don't have that much alcohol in them. You drink them, you don't really get too, faded in them, but enjoyed my time in Hawaii. Now it's time to get to business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get to a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. Finals is over now. Congratulations to the Warriors. Had the parade today. They went crazy. Klay Thompson getting drunk, acting a fool. Draymond Green cursing. But congratulations to the Warriors. I'll talk a little bit more about them and their good, the bad, the ugly. I thought this was a great moment for them to seize the title with all the teams that were hurt. How stacked the West is going to be next year. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But congrats to them. 4 titles in, I believe, 8 years. Is it a dynasty? Yeah, as much as there could be a dynasty now. Heard something a little bit on Bill Simmons comparing it to previous dynasties before. And there just wasn't the free agency and the player movement that there was in the past. So you can't really compare that era before to this era now where the players can move freely. I think it was the 98 lockout that really allowed players to have that autonomy to move and to trade teams. That's what part of that lockout was about. And, we've seen a more robust free agency since then. And so you can't really compare teams pre that lockout to any other team currently. So, yeah, I think it is a dynasty. The Warriors are a dynasty. LeBron is a dynasty in himself. But, the topic now is, what does this do to KD's legacy? I think it definitely diminishes it. Never. I remember Haralabob Voulgaris, his famous bettor, maybe the most famous NBA bettor of all time, said at the time, never in NBA history or never even in sports history has a player that good joined a team that good, And I think part of sports in general is competition, right? Not knowing the result, having to strive and work hard and to go against adversity and being able to overcome it, and the hardest tests require the strongest wills, right? That's what they say. And, the greatest players have to overcome, the greatest challenges. That's why that LeBron James 3-1 comeback against the 73-9 Warriors was so special. Is overcoming the flu game, adversity and overcoming it, right? And he took that away when he made that decision. There's just no other way to say that. When you join a team that was one game away from winning the title, that had the best regular season record in NBA history, you can't say that goes against the spirit of competition, right? Like, super teams have been formed before, but never has someone lost to a team and then joined that team. It just felt at the time there was a visceral reaction for a lot of people. And that's not going to change. And and this title only makes it worse. Nick Wright has said if there was a worse scenario for KD than him leaving the Warriors, joining the Nets, that Nets team being swept by Boston, that Boston team getting to the finals, and the Warriors team that he left beat that Boston team. With KD, we compare him to the all-time greats historically, but let's compare him to the all-time greats of his own era, the Stephs, the Kawhis, obviously the LeBrons, the Giannis's. He's not done what they've done, what Giannis did to take his team to the finals, 50-point game in game 6, while the team was down 2-0 to start, right? Steph Curry in Boston, down 2-1, looking like the series was over, overcoming that. Kawhi Leonard being down 0-2 to Giannis and then taking over the series. I'm going to guard Giannis, and then I'm going to score as well, and I'm going to beat the Warriors as well. And then LeBron down 3-1, back-to-back 40-point games. The block in game 7. KD doesn't have this type of stuff on his resume. The all-time greats have these type of wins, these type of I carried a team against the odds. He doesn't have that. That's what he did was against sports. And, he took a shot at Charles Barkley, and he said he's been dancing 2016 and all the knives are against him. I don't think people really care about him. He's not the topic of some conversation like LeBron, but he took the easy way out, and the fans have held him on it. He wants to be compared as the all-time greats. He said it so himself. He's tired of being number 2. He was number 2 in the draft. People say he's number 2 behind LeBron. He wants to be number 1. If you want to be seen as number 1, you have to go by the route that we set out for the number 1 players. And you didn't do that. And you have to do that. What leads to the next conversation that it just came out today that Kyrie Irving and the Nets have reached an impasse, and he put out a picture of Brother Muzon on the wire. Don't know really what that's from. I haven't done my research on that, and who knows what the hell Kyrie's thinking. But I'll talk about this in the Nets, good, the bad, the ugly. I think it's the right move for the Nets. I don't know how you could trust him. They have a billionaire owner, Joe Tsai. They have, I think, the second highest payroll in the league. And you've had a player that you're paying max dollars to for 3 straight seasons has found a reason other than basketball not to play basketball, other than injury not to play basketball. During the bubble, he said he didn't want to play. He didn't think it was appropriate with everything that was going on in the country. Fine. The next season, he says, well, I need some time off, but he's still showing up in city council meetings on Zoom. Rubbing it in the Nets' face. I'm not playing basketball, but hey, I got time for this. And then this year saying that, hey, he wants to be the voice for the voiceless. I don't personally have a problem with the vaccine, but I have a problem that other people being forced to take the vaccine. So because of that, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to take the vaccine, so I can't play. What's to stop him from the following season, next season, saying, something's going on in the world. Something's always going on in the world. That's just human life, especially now, 24-hour news cycles, about everything that happens in every country. There's always going to be something going on in the world. What's to stop him next season saying, you know what, there's some war, something's going on, and that's bigger than basketball. I'm not going to play. So what happens then? The Nets want return on investment. Billionaires are not billionaires because they just throw money away. He wants return on investment, and a player, so stridently telling you like, hey, basketball's not the biggest thing in my life, and you need me more than I need you. And hey, I'm cool if I retire, and I'm kind of running this team. Billionaires, again, the owner is a self-made billionaire. Hard work, dedication, long hours, away from the family. This was the ethos that you came up in, and you have a player who you're paying millions of dollars to, you're going over the tax, and him saying, you know what, I'm good. I might not play because, I'm not feeling it, or because I want to be the voice of the voiceless. There's always voiceless out there. Well, what's to say next year? And it's not even being hyperbolic saying this. What's to say next year he doesn't want to play because of some other reason? And whether you respect his opinion or not, it's not about disrespecting his idea not to play, but you can't count on that. And KD, he's going towards the end of his prime. He's going to be 33, 34 next season. He's coming towards the end of it. Didn't really look great versus that Boston series. That Boston team that Jimmy Butler played and dropped 40 on multiple times. Giannis dropped 40 on multiple times, and Steph Curry did what Steph Curry did versus them. So it's not like other people couldn't score against him. He struggled. Other superstars didn't struggle. He struggled. So there's a question of like, where is he as a player? You're going to need Kyrie to carry a bigger load, and can you count on it? Don't think you can. So it makes sense. There was some talk that maybe, the Lakers trade him. I think that makes sense. I'll talk about it more, but if you're the Nets, if you can get Russell Westbrook's contract, say you get a pick from the Lakers to, get that trade, Kyrie Irving, Russell, right? Russell doesn't have to pay for the Nets or Westbrook. You could trade him. It's a $40 million contract expiring. You have the Lakers pick. You have 2 picks from Philadelphia. You have your own picks. You package that contract with a bunch of picks and you go big game hunting. Call up Bradley Beal. Say, hey, Bradley Beal, let's do a sign and trade. Washington will do that. We'll get the money off the books. We get 4 first round picks. If Bradley Beal says he's going to opt out, they're going to take the picks and run with it. And then you have the foundation of something. I think the Nets definitely have to look into trading it. See what they can do, sign and trade. And I think that Russell Westbrook contract is probably the best that you can get, because I don't see another team. Like if I'm the Wizards, you could say, hey, why don't the Wizards do that deal straight up with Kyrie Irving and Bradley Beal? If I'm the Wizards, I don't want him. I don't want to pay him. You have to be a desperate team to pay Kyrie Irving after what I just said. 3 straight years, he's found a reason not to play basketball. Kyrie Irving, I think Chauncey Billups said this year he's the most talented guard to ever play in the NBA. And no NBA old head, not Barkley, not Magic, not none of, there was no pushback, none, right? Because he's that good. But if you think about your top 10 ranking of point guards all time, Kyrie Irving's not there because he's not consistent. His head is, man, he's over there in the sky. So I think that you're going to need a desperate team like the Lakers to make that trade. Now, Colin Cowherd said it has to be for AD. Hell no. I wouldn't just, if I'm the Lakers, I'm not entertaining that. Nah. You can't get a serious outfit for Kyrie Irving. These players that are unreliable, you don't know where their heads at. How can you? No, I wouldn't entertain that. I'll roll with Westbrook on my team rather than trading AD for Kyrie Irving. So I don't know. That was crazy to me, but that's interesting. Something interesting to watch. A lot of trade stuff coming up. I see Clint Capella traded. The Wolves are interested in Clint Capella. I mean, I think that's interesting. I don't think you can really play Cat at center. He can't really anchor your defense. He's a solid rim protector. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. The Hawks have that Onyeka Okongwu player, my Nigerian brother. Shout out to him. They drafted him high. I think they drafted him number 3 overall. So it's time to see him play. I want to see like what does he have? But yeah, Minnesota trading for him. I think that's interesting, depending on what the deal would be. It looks like the Hornets are trying to move to get Miles Turner from the Pacers. Look like Pacers just trying to clear the deck. So that could be another team, the Russell Westbrook C-Specs, where you could get maybe Brogdon for Russell Westbrook if worst comes to worst. That's a player that, is an upgrade, fits better. Health is always a concern with him, but makes more sense for the Lakers as far as shooting defensive wise. So I think that would be interesting. But yeah, the Pacers look like they're clearing the deck. Look, there's this kid that's coming from France that looks like the deal, man. He looks like a 7'3" Kevin Durant on offense with Rudy Gobert as defense, like that type of player, like a generational player. And again, not to hype back on Kyrie Irving, it's just like, how could you, every year there's young boys that are coming in the league that want it. Like, we don't have time for someone who's halfway in, halfway out. You can't be half pregnant in this league and be counted on and relied upon. So Peter Tucker declined his option. Smart people are still interested in him. I think he's kind of washed physically. Maybe if you put him on a team where he doesn't have to start that many games, you try to save him up and gear him up for the playoffs. Maybe you can get more production from him, but he was a shell of himself in the Celtics series. Maybe if he was healthy the whole series, maybe they win that series. Let's see what else we have here. And that's pretty much it. Oh, the last one, Miles Bridges. This is a big one. Miles Bridges, the Hornets are hesitant to give him a max offer. You see, the Warriors assistant coach, Kenny Atkinson, former Nets coach, pulled out of his accepted offer to be the Hornets' next head coach. And I don't know, maybe this has something to do with it. You have to max him. If you don't max him, someone else is going to match. You don't have that many good players to start. Like, I know that MJ was upset that they didn't make the playoffs here, but he's one of your better players. He has great simpatico with Lonzo Ball. This is how LaMelo, excuse me. This is how you're going to lose LaMelo. You know, like MJ got to chill out here a little bit. You have to max him. That the price of the brick is the price of the brick. He's a perfect player for a lot of teams. He's the perfect role guy, screen and roll guy for like a team like the Hawks, for Trae Young, for a team like Dallas, if they can make the money work, like with a couple trades here and there, someone's gonna max him. Like you can't. I mean, I don't know. Where do you think you're gonna find this production? Where are you gonna fill it out? Are you trying to bottom out? And remember, LaMelo, he's gonna act. I mean, it's the Hornets. This is not the biggest market in the world. He can ask for a trade. Like, the price of the brick is the price of the brick. Like a lot of these teams, we hear with the Suns are thinking about trading DeAndre Ayton because they don't want to max him. Like these teams are going cheap. All these small market teams go cheap, and then they start to complain in the CBA and they want luxury tax dollars. Like, what's the point of this luxury tax and this profit sharing if you guys are not going to use the money to build good teams? Why should the Warriors be taxed so heavily? Because you're in a small market and you don't want to spend. If you don't want to spend and you're using the small market crutch, either A, move your team, but Jordan's not going to move his team because he likes staying in Charlotte. Either A, move your team to like a Las Vegas or a Seattle who wants a team, or B, sell your team and make triple the money that you paid for it, quadruple the money you paid for it probably. I think he paid like $200 million for the Hornets. You probably get $2 or $3 billion. 10 times, the money, and ride off in the sunset. If you don't want to pay what it costs to be competitive, I mean, I just don't understand this. It's like these are, tycoons of business pleading poverty. Oh, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm in Oklahoma City. You moved your team to Oklahoma City. Who asked you to do that? You knew the team was in Minnesota. You want the team to stay in Minnesota. You can't like how does this make sense business-wise? Like if you don't want to pay to make your team competitive, you should sell it. It's a seller's market for teams. There's billionaires lined up wanting teams. The NBA rights deal is supposed to triple. Same thing for NFL. If you don't have the money, then don't have the team. All right, so let's go on to the NFL. See anything going on in the NFL right now. Commissioner set to speak. Like I said, we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, it reminds me of Succession, man. That thing, it seemed like a small plot line, and then it became the plot line. And what's his name is ducking it. Daniel Snyder is ducking it. Don't want none of the smoke. So, Baker Mayfield trade. I mean, I think it's time for them to shit or get off the pot. Like, what's going on with this? Are you going to trade him or you're not? You're going to pay the salary structure or you're not? Cam Newton talked about being at such a disadvantage getting to the team when he did in July. I think he signed with the Patriots. It was 4th of July. I remember he signed with him because it took him a while to understand the playbook. Towards the middle of the season, he was still learning the playbook on the fly. Baker Mayfield, wherever he gets traded, he's going to have that same problem. Like at a certain point, it's time to roll. Like either you're going to trade for him or you're not. The Panthers look like they want him. If you're going to do it, just take on his salary. It's like the Browns are wanting to pay half and they want him to pay $3 more million. And it's just like, David Tepper is worth how much money? Like, they have not made the playoffs in 5 years. NFC is historically weak. It's time to strike. Like, they're haggling about this. It's time to bring him in minicamp and let's see what he has. So I think mini camps are now over. So you missed that window. The mandatory OTAs, they're now over. So you missed that window. So what's going on? Either you're going to trade him or you're not. That's the way I look at it. Now, it doesn't look like Seattle's interested at all. I think Seattle is mentioned as a Cam Newton team. I think Cam Newton's waiting to see what happens. If who trades for Baker Mayfield, is it Seattle, is it Carolina, and then whatever team trades for him, he's going to go to the other team. But at the same time with him, I think he needs to make a decision too. Doesn't look like Carolina. Looks like Carolina wants Baker Mayfield. Doesn't look like they're interested in Seattle's interested in him. You should sign with Seattle, get in camp, get working. You say you had a disadvantage last time. What does holding out and playing this footsie game and trying to see where this other guy lands? At the end of the day, you feel like he said, Cam Newton's my guy, but he said that, he feels he's not the worst starter. And he's, he's not even middle of the pack, that he's an upper tier starter still. So if you feel that way, you shouldn't have no problem competing. But at the same time, if they trade for a player, they're going to want to start that player. Is it going to be a fair competition? He didn't feel the competition in New England with Mac Jones was fair. So he doesn't want to get caught in that situation again. I understand that. So, this is the dog days of the summer right now. This is supposed to be World Cup time, but, Qatar did whatever they did. I don't understand the reasoning that we want to open up Qatar to the world. So let's get the Olympics. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to offer free vacations to Qatar, like a lottery system in every state country? Like that would get people looking at Qatar and, offer it to the Instagram models, have them come over there, show them a good time. They put it all on the ground. Like, I don't understand having the World Cup there and paying money backdoor and then building all these stadiums. Like, I'm a fan of soccer, but I wouldn't go there in the summer. Probably. I'm definitely not going to go there in the winter. And it's not the World Cup being there doesn't make me more likely to want to go to Qatar. So I don't understand it. Like, if you offered a lottery system where every person in the country, you put your name in and you get a first class flight and first class hotel, I probably would sign up for that. It's probably, and you could bring thousands of more people to Qatar, show them a great time, have it on the Instagram, and that's perpetual marketing rather than having the World Cup there. But I guess it's a bigger thing to your ego to say, hey, we have the World Cup and no other country in the region has ever had it. I don't know. So no sports for a while. Besides, hockey and baseball's on, but these generalists like Stephen A. Smith who talk about everything, like there's just no way you can know all these sports in depth. That's why he was, talking about Hunter Henry being on the Chargers while he hasn't been on the team when he was on the Patriots, because there's always so much you can follow every sport. If you're following every sport, when you're doing boxing and UFC and golf and basketball and college football, then I know what I know. I know NBA, I know NFL, and I'm starting to get really deep into college football. I like international soccer. I'm a Chelsea fan. That's it. And I like to watch boxing. I don't know. My man, Marty Marr, shout out to him. Best boxing analyst I know. I usually lean on him for his advice and his opinions. I definitely need to get him on here more, talk about betting lines. We've been cleaned up on Bivol. I can show y'all that. We'll do that more. He doesn't like anything coming up, but we'll do that more in the future. All right, we'll end it here. The game is again. All right, thank you for watching this clip. Do me a favor, push the button, hit subscribe. Come on, man, push it.
Call everybody up.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button.
You heard what she said.
Man, do what's right. You heard her. Push the button. The game is again.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, The game is a game. Always.